Jimmy's Jam Box. Keep jamming. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
I'm the Vision. If you've gotten a tattoo for me, probably know me by Zay.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Why don't you
man.
go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about, like where you're from, what you do. Give us that like Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Yeah, man. I'm from Vancouver. I was born in Vancouver and ended up moving out into Portland and grew up out there. My dad was a rapper growing up, so out there, spent a lot of time in the studio. Never really got into the writing thing too much, but loved the beats. Love beats. So from then on, I just always was messing around with all my dad's stuff.
Hell yeah.
So from there, I just kind of went up with my music.
I dig that.
Yeah.
What do you play any instruments?
I used to play a lot of guitar. I tried so long to get into electric guitar.
No?
Can't do it. I don't got the fingers for it, man.
No?
No.
No?
Couldn't do it.
Do you think maybe like bass would be a better instrument? It's a little more like dexterous. The strings are a little bit bigger and spread
I am
apart.
definitely always looking to try it.
Well, surprise y'all. Look under your chair. We got you a bass. No, I'm kidding.
Oprah?
Not this time. But
dude.
Maybe I may or may not be a bass player. We can make that
Yeah.
happen after this.
Okay.
Not on this episode. We won't do that to you. But we'll see what happens after this.
You're hyping me up and shutting me down, man.
Oh, we want to wow the people. We want to wow the people. All right, and then like what got you into music initially? Like what was like the jumping off point?
I'd say as I matured, being really close to my dad, just when he had his kids, when he had me and my brother, he kind of had to drop all of his music stuff, and he was really into it. He had a whole lot going on for a while, and just as I had matured and like right into my teenage years, probably I'm like probably 5 years into making beats, and I was DJing for a long time.
Oh, okay.
So I really liked just spinning those tracks there. But my dad, just knowing he wasn't able to keep going with that, it just wanted me to keep fulfilling what he couldn't do.
Okay.
Is basically what I wanted to do. And my brother also was trying really hard with his writing. He was a really good rapper. And
Gotcha.
he's doing his best, but he also has his struggles. So
Doing
what I can for my family, at least. Trying to get us all
I respect
all
that.
going.
Life catches up to us all for sure.
Yeah.
All right, now this next question. This is definitely a fun one. This is one we ask early on. It's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Oh, man. I think the first one I ever bought with my own money was Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon.
Okay.
The first edition, 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, solid choice.
Yeah.
What was it about it that made you want to get it when you were younger?
My dad listened to a lot of Cudi back then.
Gotcha.
And he had that album had been out for a couple years already, so I had heard a couple certain songs out of it.
So you just wanted to make it yours?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
going into them, just certain only songs that I loved from Cudi, I was picking out of that album. So
Yep.
when I got that album and listened to it all the way through, it was great.
It's definitely an experience for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. And then what was the first like show experience that you had that you like wanted to go to?
I hadn't been to a lot of shows. It wasn't something my family often really took us to.
I gotcha.
When I was older, I think I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin was really into like raves and stuff. So
Oh.
when we were roommates for a little bit, So one day she was just like, we got to go out and do something.
Okay.
And she was like, we'll see if there's a concert. And Modest Mouse was a concert that was nearby. I hadn't heard of it. I hadn't heard of them, I should say.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed that concert.
I was going to say,
it was
like,
a really good concert.
What a neat surprise.
Yeah, it was a really good concert. And I love Modest Mouse now since then.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Did they play with anybody else that you can remember?
No one memorable, not really.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Now, do you have now, like, obviously this is kind of a dense question because you're clearly deep rooted in it so much already, but do you have like a defining moment where you would say like you decided you wanted music to be a full-time thing?
Yeah, I think, and it was very recent. I'm just kind of starting back up into it. I was doing the tattoo thing for a long time, and when I wanted to pursue that, because I had to get off my ass and I had to make money somehow, legitimately.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling all my music stuff and started tattooing. Learned that on my own. And then this year, or I'd say around the end of last year, Julian, my cousin, Hooligan Jules, shout out Hooligan Jules.
Shout out Hooligan.
He invited me and my dad onto one of his music videos for his show with South End Siva, Coover Party. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't known anything about the rap scene around being a tattoo artist. I knew about like the deathcore scene, and the rock scene around town. There's a lot of that, but
there do be a couple of them.
Yeah. But just everyone, was a lot. I was shocked at the first show I ever came to with Julian, and seeing all these like local artists. Just they're really good, and they're all just trying to come up.
Yep.
And that inspired me a lot. Just seeing all that and knowing that there's a lot more people and so many just like thinking the same way I do, just like wanting, to keep it going and wanting to make something theirs,
Hell yeah.
So I want to try to do, like, I want to try to get as successful as I can. I'm trying to open up a studio, putting a lot of effort into getting that out here.
Hell yeah.
Help out all the local artists as well. Just,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, well, we're definitely going to dive into a lot of that in this next segment. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. We're going to get to some artist-focused questions.
Okay.
Now, the first one, we're going to get this out of the way. It's kind of an easy one. And we'll go with more your producer side for this. How did you pick your name?
That one took me a while. I went through a couple for a while, and a lot of them were just very cringy DJ names. So I don't know. After I got back into hip hop and doing that, I've been doing that consistently all year. Mm-hmm. Just practicing, just sampling all the records that I can get, just practicing as best I can, making beats. So just doing my best out there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can you kind of take us through, like, as a producer, like your writing process is a little bit different than like, the rap artists themselves. Yeah. Can you take us through, like, when you get inspired, what are your like first steps for like putting something down, either like for something you're working with individually for a person or just like something you want to like later put out there as a thing.
Yeah.
And then subsequently, and I guess this one will get kind of dense, so we can revisit this part of the question if you need a follow up on it. But for those two particular applications, what decides a track is finished? So let's start with the beginning.
What
like,
inspires?
Yeah. Like when you get inspired, what are those first steps that you do when working on something?
I spend I'll be inspired by like a song. Mm-hmm. I will just shuffle through a lot of just jazz. I love sampling through jazz. It's something very easy to kind of scratch through.
Oh yeah. There do be a lot of quality music.
So
in jazz.
I'll sit down or I'll be in bed at night just listening to different songs. I'll ask my buddies to show me, like, write down songs that they think would be dope to hear, chopped up.
Yeah.
So I'll get inspired, and then when I find a certain piece in a song, I'll just sit there and listen to it for a good hour straight. And through all my programming and my machines, just start chopping them up from there. Takes time.
Yeah,
Takes
it
a lot
does.
of time.
Yeah, it does.
I'll decide it's finished. It's a lot easier when it's just me producing for me or practicing. I'll decide it's finished when the beat is strong and I've gotten at least 2 different like sections of a sample.
Yeah.
So I've chopped 2 separate sections, make sure I can have a pretty cool transition. That's what I've been working on a lot lately is my transitions.
Okay.
So it'll take me a lot longer when I finally know I have a dope transition.
Yeah.
Then I'll start sequencing and decide that it's finished.
Oh yeah.
As for when I'm doing it for other artists, it's a little more difficult. You
Yeah.
kind of have to let them feel their vibe and you have to stick with their vibe. So you kind of you got to feel them in that way. So it takes a little more time for me, I feel like.
Fair. A lot more of a give and take for sure.
Yeah.
Now, out of all the songs you've worked with other people, for sure. I mean, like you've got a few out there now.
Absolutely.
What would you say is the song that describes you best as like a producer at the moment? Like if you only could show somebody one thing to kind of show them like what you do or what you are, what would you pick?
I had this one beat that I worked on, and it's the only thing I ever tried spitting on, basically.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
I have 2 verses on one track with my brother that we did at the beginning of this year, and then I haven't really gotten around to seeing him again.
Gotcha.
So just that was something that meant a lot to me personally. And just knowing it was the first time we had ever done something like that together.
Is it out where people can hear it?
Somewhere deep in his SoundCloud. I'm sure we can find it.
Okay. Well, why don't we pick a second one that's a little more accessible?
A little more accessible.
As well. Yeah, like if you were like going to work with somebody in the future and you had to show them something that you were like, yo, this is what I do. What would you show them?
I don't think I have anything personally out yet. Like any of the ones that I would want to show the best.
I got you.
The best of. I don't have too much out there.
I guess you're going through a bit of a rebranding too.
Yeah.
So I guess that's fair.
I'm starting from scratch.
You know what? We're gonna take that question then. We're gonna remold it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to know because we don't get a lot of people who are in that particular position.
Yeah.
If you're going through a rebranding, if you're going through a reprisal,
Yeah.
what are the things that you think are the biggest changes? Like what were you doing before and what are you doing now? And what do you like about what you do now?
I was doing a lot of mixing back then, just DJ work.
Okay.
Like I was just mixing songs together and making transitions back then and playing at, family shows.
Yeah. Yep.
Quinceañeras.
Yep.
So, back then I was just doing it for me. I was doing it for fun. I didn't have like that deep like purpose to want to do it yet.
Fair.
Back then I was just, like I said, doing it for fun and to have that piece of music that I could carry on, from my family. Okay. So I think the biggest transition was moving back to like boom bap,
Yeah.
and especially like sampling and chopping up stuff. I'm just got a whole bunch of this new gear. I'm so used to like all the old school stuff that I would play with in my dad's unit.
Yeah, so it's like you're like, wow, this is so much more effective, but at the same time, what does any of it do?
It's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, it's almost too much. Yeah.
Yeah,
especially if you like jump that far because, a lot of the newer stuff, it's like meant to be like a step up from the previous thing, not the old things. Like, it's not meant to be like from back in the day. It's just supposed to be better than the one that was before it.
Right. And I say also being fresh to the new, local rap scene and everything, just kind of still settling into how everyone works.
It's definitely a whole new world.
Yeah.
And I think
I want to make sure that when I come out, I know that I can do something a little unique.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, as you work from like place to place, it even changes.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you go like short distances, almost it feels like.
Yeah.
But I can dig that for sure. Now, we've kind of got one last big question in this portion. But before we get into it, this is usually where we'd ask one of the more fun ones as far as like show performance goes. But that's like not exactly your vein of things from what I've gathered.
Not necessarily.
So I want to turn kind of the direction more towards your other art. And let's talk about, your tattooing work a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just, this is kind of more an open format. Why don't you tell us about like what got you into it initially, and then like just kind of your story through where you've gotten to now.
Yeah. I dropped out of school fairly early. When I was growing up in Portland, I transferred from public or private schools out in Vancouver to just straight up high school out in Portland. And that was a change for me. That was a pretty big
understandable.
change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overwhelming. I have, my own personal issues in my head that I have going on. So a lot of things were holding me back. I was just never good at staying in school. So I dropped out really early. I dropped out when I was 16, and COVID had hit by then, or just about a year after I had dropped out of high school. And I was, like everyone who drops out, I was like, I'm going to take this year break.
Yep.
So I took that break, and then COVID hit. Oof. And I was just, stuck. And I couldn't get in anywhere, and all I'm getting, living at my folks' house ear to ear, get off your ass, do something.
Yeah. The whole world was like, well, you want a break.
Yeah, right. It's like, I've had my break.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know, like, what I could do. We had the pandemic, so we couldn't go out.
Yep.
Like, it was impossible to find a job back then.
Yeah.
I applied at a Taco Bell and never got a call back.
Yeah, exactly.
It was insane. So I remembered that I was really close with one of my uncles as a kid. Mm-hmm. And he and I got along really well because we both shared a lot of traumas. Mm-hmm. So me and him got along really well, and he was an artist. And my dad helped him out of a funk when I was really young. And my dad bought him a tattoo kit. So his first tattoo kit, my dad helped him get off his ass and, find a passion and start working at it. Yeah. My uncle is now a really big-time artist out here in Vancouver at Donovan's Black Label.
Hell yeah.
Sean Renner. I was remembering all that. I watched him become the great tattoo artist that he is now. Yeah. And I just thought, hell, maybe from scratch I could do that too. Yeah. I remember watching the movie The King of Staten Island that just came out. Pete Davidson. It's about him wanting to be a tattoo artist. Yep. And I was like, shit, if anyone can do this.
If Pete Davidson could do it.
Yeah. And I had homies that have just bought stuff off Amazon. So I tried to buy like the most expensive tattoo stuff I could on Amazon, see, what worked the best. Yeah. So I just started tattooing fruits and stuff. So I'd say all of 2020 through 2021, I was just practicing at home. Mm-hmm. By the end of 2020 through 2021, I started having a lot of people, homies and people, word of mouth. Hell so yeah. I just made a little shop out of my room in Portland, just right out of my folks' living room.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So I did that for a long time. I had a lot of practice, so just very self-taught, but from all the, all the stuff I put myself through to learn all of it, especially by myself. Yeah. I wanted to go through with this. It was almost the first thing I've ever done for myself and gotten this far with. So I was very passionate about it. I grew very passionate about my art and tattooing. So I did anything I could to get my foot in the door. I ended up getting not an apprenticeship. I tried so hard for an apprenticeship, but I didn't have my license. Out in Oregon, you almost cannot, or I should say you cannot get your tattoo license without going through a school, without schooling. Out here, it's a little simpler. Yeah. So I got my license out here. Still wasn't enough to show for, but I had a license, and I ended up getting a job as the front desk out at a tattoo shop out in Lloyd Center. Okay. Yeah. So that place was kind of dead, kind of good step into tattooing. I got to hang out with a lot of the artists. Yeah. A lot of free time that
learn about it.
Yeah. So a lot of people would help me out there. I'd still say for the most part, I had to teach myself. I never got a lot of hands-on learning. Yeah. After working there for about maybe 3 months, I was offered an apprenticeship at another tattoo shop that a artist who used to work there owns. So he gave me an apprenticeship and taught me a little bit for a little while. Taught me how to be professional, how to be clean, sterile. Biggest things I was missing.
Yep.
And so now that I'm a full professional,
Hell yeah.
I've just been doing it since then.
Hell yeah.
In his shop.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to like, do you draw in your free time? Like, are you a visual artist otherwise?
Yeah. Yes. Not very often. As it being a full-time job.
Oh, fair.
Drawing.
But I guess
in your spare time.
prior to becoming a tattoo artist, like, did you draw in your free time all the time?
Not all the time. That is a question I'm always asked by my clients. Not all the time. I loved to draw in school.
Yeah.
Wasn't good. Just doodled on my paper.
Oh, fair.
I was an artsy kid. I wouldn't call myself an artist.
Yeah.
But I loved to draw.
Okay.
So any chance I had to hold a pen and some paper, I would be drawing.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, I never really got into like the too big of the artsy aspect, but I loved tracing.
Fair.
So in school, I'd see one of the posters on the wall, see like a book cover or something. I'd just draw it.
Okay, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of a weird question, but I hope that this is one that like translates as a well thought out one.
Yeah.
In the world of tattooing, like obviously there are so many things that are like a different factor. Like, you know, like different needles you use, different inks you use, like this and that. What are some things that are worth like looking out for or asking as like if I was going to go and like get a tattoo somewhere from a new person, what are some things that are like obvious, like this is how I would know if they're like somebody who would be like good at what they do or not? Like, are there things?
I'd say it'd be hard to tell if they'd be good or not.
Or I guess like if they're like in the know, you know what I mean? Like if they're well prepared.
Not as professional, you should always see them glove up before they touch their equipment, before they open up a needle. You should always see a needle in its packaging prior. So you can just tell someone's cleanliness, and I'd say that's a big red flag for a lot of things. You should always be looking out for cleanliness in a shop. Okay. Yeah. So besides that, I don't really know how you would look out for someone just judging them.
I got you.
Their art style, you know?
Yeah, I guess, the art is the big part of it. But yeah, more, I guess, like, that was really the question I was asking. Is like, how can you like know that you're probably in safe hands?
I say if someone's got an old school machine and the clip cord, and it's one of those really loud machines, just prepare yourself for some pain. That's all I can say.
Gotcha. Hey, useful
badass
information.
Tattoo, but
hell yeah. Fair enough. All right, now like I said, we've got one last question in the like artist focused ones.
Yeah.
And this one's kind of a big one. It's kind of a dense one.
Okay.
But what is it about music that matters most to you? Like out of all the things you do it for, like there's a million reasons why we do music.
Right.
But what is it about music that matters the most?
I think about that a lot. And I think a really big aspect is just how it brings people together. And the second thing I would say is just the vibe. I think a lot of us use music just to kind of, drift away a bit,
Yeah.
To kind of vibe out. Exactly.
Okay.
So I feel like that's a really good aspect.
Hell yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and turn it on over to some hypothetical questions. And have fun with it. These are all just like the if this then that's kind of ones. And the first one, like I said, have a lot of fun with it. If you could work with any one artist who's currently alive and in any capacity, that would be totally up to you. But you could only pick one person. And if it's a member of like a group or band, you have to pick an individual member of the group. Okay. Who would you pick? And since given what you do anyways, how would you work with them?
Another one I probably thought of a lot. RZA, Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Very
shout out RZA if you want to be on the show.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. He's been a big inspiration of mine for hip hop at least.
Yeah.
And producing hip hop beats. I'd want to learn from him. I'd want to learn as much as I could. So I'd just want to sit down and just follow his lead. He's visionary.
Hell yeah.
I know he'd have a lot to show. So
definitely.
As much time as I could get, I'd just watch them even.
Fully understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in any way working with the RZA would be
Oh, absolutely.
like, that would just
That's
be an
an
experience.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you like know is here, but you haven't gotten to connect with, but you would like to?
Ooh, that is a good question. I'm very fond of Jason B right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Jason B.
Yeah. Modest Mouse being a bit of a rocky
Yeah.
band.
Understandable.
I like all types of music. Jason B, love his stuff.
Yeah. Definitely a big fan of that.
Love his new album.
Y'all definitely know some Jason B at this point. Let's make it happen. At somebody in comments, tag somebody somewhere. Let's do this. And now, usually this next question is, if you could perform anywhere in the world, where would you perform?
Oh,
I guess that question still opens up to you.
I do, like, I can do live beats. I do live
Okay.
beat performances and stuff. And as a DJ before, I think a cool place to have DJ'd.
You know what?
As a kid, Times Square was always a big deal to me. I loved
Yep.
New York.
Hell yeah.
And just always packed. Just get a whole fucking rave started. Times Square.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And then, you know what? We'll spice this question up just a little bit. Who would you want to like do that for, or like with?
Probably just my brothers out here. Hooligan Jules. Bishop Brown, big fan.
Yeah. Shout out Bishop Brown.
Saya the Kid.
Yeah, shout out Saya.
Whole bunch of shout
They're
outs.
just doing the whole Tuesday lineup here.
Love my boys.
Hell yeah. All right, now this is the last of the hypothetical questions, and this one's kind of a like it. Just have fun with it.
Okay.
If you had to pick a completely different genre than any style of music you've ever touched before, so even if you've done it as a beat, if you've like done like a
Yeah.
cross genre thing, it's off the table now. What would you pick?
I've almost been put in a position where I had to choose this before, and I feel country.
Okay.
I'd do some country music.
You know what? Because it's been said so often, we're now asking, what would you pick if country wasn't an option?
Fuck.
Yep. We got to make this question a little bit more difficult.
Probably R&B.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're telling me you've never made something that's basically R&B.
Oh, I have.
Then that's not an option. If you've made it before, it's got to be something you've never done before. I really want to dig in on this one. I think we're gonna find it. We're gonna find a real answer here, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh,
I know it's making me think too deep.
yeah,
Opera singing?
all right." Well, surprise everybody.
No.
Ah, damn it. All right, no surprises, everybody. Except we do have one, but I'll tell you in a minute. We're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up.
All right.
And why don't you go ahead and tell us just what do you have coming up in the future? Like what's like, say like end of September onwards.
Working on getting a new spot right now to get the studio going.
Hell yeah.
So I got a lot going on right now. Just trying to get fully set up. I want to get, like I said, the studio running.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a couple of solo things I'm working on right now. I want to be able to put out a couple of beat packs.
Ooh.
For anyone
Okay.
using any kind of DAWs out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have to sneak a couple of those beats onto the show rotation.
Absolutely.
Get them added on there.
Yeah.
And then any other actually, you know what? Let's have you look at the camera for this next one. Tell everybody how they can find you, the plugs, the ads, things like that.
Number one thing you can find me at, my tattoo Instagram. It's where you can reach me for tattoo inquiries, beat inquiries, anything. Zay's _Monster Inc. Inc. with a K.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Shout out my dad, Celsius. Shout out Hooligan Jules. And I am ready to go when you are.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we've got one last question to go. But
Yeah.
before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, the final question. What is your guilty pleasure song?
Oh man. High Enough, K-Flay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Solid choice.
Yeah.
Solid choice. All right. We're going to go ahead and get up and out of here. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Zay.
Hell yeah. But you know what? Before we go, I don't think we can just let this end this way. We're going to be right back. And right after this, you're going to see a little picture in just a moment. I think it's time we had the Jambox logo tattooed on me.
Yeah.
All right. So stick around for right after this fades out and then fades right back in, and you're going to get to see what it looks like.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show. Keep jamming.